Hello Stampers, Kelly Acheson at StampinUp.com coming to you from Menasha, Wisconsin in the United States. Today I have created a beautiful background using watercolor paper and ink and baby wipes for the Totally Techniques Global Blog Hop. Let's get started and I'll show you how fun and easy this is. I'm going to bring in my cardstock layers here. I've got a scrap of Whisper White and Flirty Flamingo. Then I've got a piece of watercolor paper. This is 2 by 5 1/4. Another piece of Flirty Flamingo, that's 4 by 5 1/4. And a piece of our Whisper White thick cardstock. This is great for your card bases. This is 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. And I'm just going to fold this over and burnish my edge good. The first thing I want to do here is I'm going to do my stamping. And I'm going to bring in some of the stamps from the Meant to Be stamp set. This is a fabulous Valentine set. You can buy it as a bundle and save when you get the Be Mine stitched framelits. And these are so cool. You get a heart that cuts this white heart out, and then there's also dies that do the stitched heart but don't actually cut them out. Isn't that a neat background? All of these hearts come in the Be Mine stitched framelits. This little edge, which is really cool. And then all of these also. So you get a ton of dies in this pack to go with these fabulous stamps that match them. Okay, I decided to take Memento black ink and stamp the greeting on the front of the Flirty Flamingo layer. And I'm just going to stamp it as far over to the right as I can and down near the bottom. Oh, and I wiggled that. Did you see that? Yeah, that happens sometimes, right? There we go. That looks better. Now, I'm going to also do a little bit of stamping on the inside here. Now, we've got this really neat flourish stamp in the Meant to Be stamp set. And I'm going to use Flirty Flamingo ink. I'm going to stamp that on the inside of my card way over at the left side. And I see I've got black ink on my hands. Hang on a second. I hate it when that happens. Well, we're going to use this baby wipe for our card anyways. Okay, and then we'll do a little die cutting because I need some hearts cut. So I'm going to use this die to cut out a white heart and a Flirty Flamingo heart, and I'll be right back. Now when you use just the single die, it actually gives you 2 hearts. So you get the outline and the inside, and I've got that with both of these pieces. So we're going to be using these 2 for the front of our card, this one for the inside. And I wanted to just stamp a little greeting on here, again with the Memento black ink. And this one says, "You make me happy." I thought that was kind of a cute greeting to go inside the card. Got my liquid glue here. I'm just going to put this right down in the corner. This is going to give me lots of room to write in my card. Okay, now we need to do our technique. And this is, I had so much fun doing this. I can't hardly wait to show you. I'm going to take a baby wipe. Now, the type of baby wipe you use, I think would be better if it was a little thicker. And then I found that my baby wipes, and I buy the Huggies One and Done. Well, there's really no label on here, but these are the Huggies One and Done. I like them for the thickness, and I can buy refill packs. So I'm just going to spray some water on here because I found that my wipes needed to be a little damper. We're going to put this ink pad away. And I'm going to bring in Real Red. And if you squeeze, if you have the new ink pads, if you squeeze the back, push in the middle of the back, you're gonna get ink in your lid. And I've got Daffodil Delight, which seems like some really strange colors for a Valentine card, but hang with me because I think you're gonna love these. I'm just gonna set my stamp case underneath the lids of these ink pads so that they're not leaning down. I just found it worked better. Okay. I'm also going to take my Stampin Spritzer, and you guys can see that I have been playing with this because I have ink all over my fingers. I'm so sorry. I thought I had that all cleaned off. I don't want to come on here and be a big mess, right? I'm just going to spray some water in there. And then the other thing we're going to do is we're going to spray water on our watercolor paper layer. And you want to get that fairly wet. Now I'm going to just scrunch up my baby wipe, and I'm going to pick up that Daffodil Delight, and I'm going to very lightly dab it on this layer. And you can rub it a little bit, dab, rub. You might need to wet your cardstock again. And I think I should say your watercolor paper. I think I'm going to do that right now. And now I'm going to grab some of the Real Red. I'm going to just come in here and tap this around. I don't want this to be too overbearing because I want to see the yellow shine through on here, but I want it to be pretty neat looking. We all do, right? Yeah, we all want our stuff. Now I'm just rubbing it a little bit. This is what we call a watercolor, faux watercolor background, I guess. Well, it's not really faux, but it's a watercolor background. And if you want to, you can take your spritzer and spritz it again. If you feel like you need to add some more color someplace, you can come in and do that. I see that I'm kind of weak up there. Maybe a little bit right down here. Isn't that just pretty? It just looks like you painted a watercolor on there. Now, I'm going to hit this with the heat tool to speed up the drying process, but you could certainly do this all ahead of time and set your pieces out and let them dry naturally. Either way works just fine. I'll be back in just a second. Okay, this seems to be sufficiently dry. Now I'm going to bring in this Flirty Flamingo layer, and we're going to add our watercolor layer right over here, real close to the left side. And I'm probably going to have to trim a little. Yep, it looks like I'm going to have to trim a little bit off the bottom here because it's hanging over just a little bit. Oops, I kind of got off my mark there. There we go. That looks good. Isn't that pretty? What a pretty and soft look. Okay, let me close these up. And then we're going to bring in some of our powder pink ribbon. Now it's funny that I chose this because it is powder pink, and I didn't use powder pink in the making of this card. But I felt like this ribbon was really soft. I love the ruffle on it, and it went really well with my card and the colors that I chose for that. So I'm just going to tape this ribbon around the back here. And then I'm going to come in and tie a little piece right here. I like to do that with ribbon rather than wrapping it around and having to tie it in a double knot. When you do it this way, you only need a single knot, and that helps with your, eliminating that bulk when you put it in an envelope. I'm going to cut these off straight. I don't want them to be diagonal. Okay. We can put this on the front of our card, and then we're going to add those die-cut hearts. And I've got another card to show you, too, that I made with this technique, another Valentine card. I think you're going to love it. I thought it was really pretty. I'm pressing this down, holding it for a little while here, to make sure it's going to stay in place with all the layers. Now I'm going to bring in my silicone mat and some of my liquid glue here. I've got one of our Stampin' sponges in a clip, and this is how I like to add the glue to these really delicate, detailed die cuts. And this works really good. And then of course your silicone mat, I just set this aside and let it dry, and you can just like rub off the glue. It pretty much just comes right off. Or you can take it and wash it in the sink too. Either way works fine. What do you think of that? Really simple technique, a very simple card. I would call this almost like a clean and crisp card, almost. I love this baby wipe. It's like a foolproof watercolor. Easy to do. Do you want to see the other card that I made? Hang on. How about this one? Yeah, that's pretty. So these are the petal pear embossing folders, and I used this one with like the little vines on it on a piece of petal pink cardstock. And then this is the same technique that I used here. I did it on a bigger piece of watercolor paper. I die cut it with this big heart, and again, just like the little heart that I used here, this big heart cuts out the inside, and it also cuts out that ruffled edge. So I've got a white ruffled edge with the watercolor paper. And I used the same ribbon in the powder pink, mini ruffled ribbon with the mini glue dot here. And then I stamped Happy Valentine's Day on the inside from the Meant to Be stamp set. So this is just one of the techniques that you can use baby wipes for. There's a whole bunch of different baby wipe techniques, but I wanted to try something new today, and I thought this was really pretty. One last thing I want to add to my card is one of these heart epoxy droplets. These are really fun. You can actually color them with your Stampin' Blend markers and make them all different colors. But for this card, I'm just going to leave this one clear. And it's a little hard to see in the camera, but it shines nicely, and it's just a neat embellishment to put down there by that sentiment. If you'd like to place an order with me, use this monthly host code. This will give you some special perks with me. You can head right up here and go to my blog, www.astampabove.com. You're going to find an online ordering button in the right-hand column. Just click on that and you'll go right to my Stampin' Up store. All of these products are available in the Occasions mini catalog. I shouldn't say all because these embossing folders are in the big catalog, but most of the stuff is in the Occasions mini catalog. And if you don't have those catalogs and you don't have a Stampin' Up demonstrator, I would love to earn your business. You can pop me an email at kelly@astampabove.com and I'd be happy to mail those to you. Thanks so much for taking a little bit of time out of your day to spend it with me. Please make sure you click up there and head over to my blog so you can see the rest of the projects using baby wipe techniques for the global Totally Techniques blog hop today. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.